Everyone, I'm Daniel,
And I'm Jun,
and we are
Korean.
American.
Hey, Daniel,
What's up?
guess what?
What?
I had a thing done yesterday.
A thing?
Yeah,
What is this thing?
this
I don't.
thing.
Your hair looks the same. It's not a
Yeah.
haircut.
So, do you see these bruises?
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you recognize it?
I
before?
didn't see them before.
Yeah,
No,
it's pretty light.
they're kind of like underneath your neck, right where your neck meets your chin.
Yes. So, I went to the 피부과. What's 피부과 in English?
People, I think that's the like skin clinic.
Skin clinic. Yeah, I went to a skin clinic yesterday with my friend, and I just tagged along.
Uh huh.
Because he was trying to get this thing called immersed.
Okay. What's that mean?
Immersed. I think there are a lot of these procedures that can be done in Korean skin clinics, like immersed. There's ulcera, there's shrink, and all these things. And I think they are just brands that are named by whatever the company that provides the machine to do these procedures.
Oh, they're actually the name of the machine, not the procedure itself.
Yeah, I think they're the name of the machines.
Okay,
so they're
interesting.
very random.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So immersed is specifically what they do is that imagine like there's a sucking cup like they do in Chinese medicine,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, cupping. Yeah.
There's a very tiny sucking cup and it sucks your skin, and then they would project like some kind of laser or supersonic wave or whatever to destroy your fat cells.
Fat cells.
Yes.
So this is a slimming.
It's a slimming thing, and usually they do it under on your chin area because you have like double chins. Right?
Yeah, you want a more pronounced like jawline or whatever.
Yeah. So I've seen a lot of my male friends do this recently.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's very interesting that now, guys are doing this as well. Because I know that it was pretty popular amongst the...
Yeah. You can say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Women, stereotypically have cared a lot more about how they look.
Yes.
Yeah.
Trying to be a bit PC here. Anyways, so I've seen a lot of my male friends do it as well. So I was like, oh, maybe it's much more, I guess, approachable for me now. And then I saw the price, and guess how much it costs for one session?
How long was the session?
I would say less than 10 minutes.
Well, what? 10 minutes?
Yes.
And generally, are they charging by length of time, or are they charging by like number of things sucked, let's say?
I think it's just a session.
Okay, by session. A 10-minute session? And I don't know. I'm going to guess high here. 5만 원, $50.
Oh, correct.
Oh,
got it.
Wait,
I thought you would say at least like 20만 원.
Wait,
That's what I thought.
I'm good at guessing. That's a problem here.
Okay, cool.
Anyways,
I was very surprised that it was only 5만 원.
Yeah.
And now it's even more approachable for me. So I was like,
even for a 10-minute session, you'd have to pay more, or it would be more expensive.
I think so.
Oh wow. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't really know about these things.
Yeah.
I just thought that it would be at least 20만 원. Anyways.
Yeah.
There were other sessions that were as short but cost like 30만 원.
I see.
But anyways, this one was 5만 원.
Yeah.
So I tagged along with my friend. It's very simple. You just go to their website and then you just reserve and you just go.
Yeah.
First, to start with, the interior of these skin clinics are amazing.
Yeah.
I haven't been to any like luxury spas before, but this is what I would imagine a luxury spa would.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Very serene, like calm, and then like everyone's so nice.
Yeah, the babbling brook, like water sounds in the background.
Yes, exactly.
The 향기 is smell, right?
Yeah,
like beautiful scents.
Beautiful scents and all that. And it's very well standardized procedure. You first go to the reception, and they would let you wait, and then soon we call it 실장. I don't know what that's called. So like a consultant would come. And they would consult with you, like, you reserve for immersed, like, and they would, if it's possible, they would also recommend you to do other things, which they did, and which I refused. I'm just only gonna get this one and see what it's gonna be like.
Consultant's a good word, by the way. It sounds like their role there is to first set expectations, but second, like to upsell you on as many other procedures as possible since you're there.
My friend bought into it.
Oh, they got him.
He got like
Got him.
13만 원, which is $130.
Yeah.
But yeah, I only got the immersed.
Mm-hmm.
The procedure itself is like sort of like a very tiny sucking cup, and it sucks your like little parts of your skin, and you feel a little heat.
Yeah.
That's it. You do it for 5 to 10 minutes, and then they said the effects of it will be visible to you after a week. So I don't know. I don't feel much of a difference.
Yeah.
Personally, but I'm just waiting to see what it's gonna be like.
Before I go on, I have to say, like, I think you look good. Like, you've never needed anything to enhance your jawline. So I don't know if you were doing this just for fun, just to try it out, or because you actually thought you needed it. But I don't know if, well, I'll tell you if I do notice a difference. At least for now, I think you look the same, which is to say you look good. I don't think you need anything to improve your jawline or reduce a double chin or anything.
Yeah, I always thought, I mean, sometimes if I see a photos taken of me, I see a little bit of double chin.
Yeah.
But I always thought that it's just because I'm a bit overweight, right? If I just lose weight, it's gonna...
Are you overweight? Okay,
by Korean standards.
Okay, by Korean. I definitely need this in Moda.
Anyways,
I'll be asking you for the referral to the clinic later.
Yeah, every time like let's say a female friend of mine tells me maybe you should get immersed and something like that, I always said that I just need to lose weight, which is true.
Yeah.
I was just curious. It's only 5만 원, right?
Yeah.
Anyways,
Jun.
Yeah.
I have to also confess.
What?
I've had two, I think the same, but I've had two cosmetics done as well. One in LA and then one in Korea.
What? This is okay. This is very new.
Yeah, but again, I was just tagging along with my wife.
Okay.
Who was, I think, also some sort of pibuwa type thing, like skin treatment. I think it's just called like skin tag removal. They're these tiny things that like grow up on your skin. I don't actually have many, but they just like freeze them off. Yeah, and it's quite painful. But then after a week or so, it heals, and your skin should just be more, I guess, smooth and beautiful. So it's just like skin treatment. I don't.
Oh wow.
Yeah, great. I did once in LA, once in Korea. Yeah, so I've done it twice.
Okay, so the reason why you had it in LA, is it because it's a Korean clinic?
It was, of course, a Korean clinic.
Okay,
yeah, like K-Town.
All right.
But again, my wife grew up in Southern California. Her family was there for a while, and so while we were, I don't forget if we were dating or married at that point. But I just accompanied her because I was curious. Yeah, for me, I could definitely stand to lose some pounds, but I've never been self-conscious about how I look, or, I think, and this is maybe a good segue into like why people either get cosmetic surgery or feel the need to. But I've never really cared to, let's say, improve my looks. Or if I did, I always wanted to be very natural, right? Like just lose weight.
Yeah.
Maybe wash your face better or use some different face masks or something like that. But the idea of getting an operation or cosmetic surgery done, not saying what you did was cosmetic surgery per se, but that was always a bit like, oh, that's not for me. And actually, to be honest, until more recently, I kind of looked down on it. Like, you're so vain. Like, why would you pay to change how you look?
Yeah.
Everyone should just look the way they look, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of, yeah, for the record, you look fine. And I think
thank you.
And I think a lot of Korean, at least the male patients, I don't know if I should call them patients, but they sort of break into cosmetic treatment when they're preparing for their wedding.
Oh.
And I was just gonna ask, when you had your thing done in LA, was it because you were preparing for your wedding?
Oh, okay. Now that you mention it, really, I never thought of it as wedding preparation. But we also got this done the same day I got measured for my suit, my yangbo, that my mother-in-law's, my wife's family was gifting me. So actually now in hindsight, it was right before, maybe a couple months before we got married. So yeah.
So your wife was considerative enough to not tell you that it was for the wedding.
Or maybe I'm just so dense that I don't even like... Again, this will tell you like how little I care about looks, physical appearance. For me, I really don't place much value in it. For myself, for others. Again, may sound like I'm judging people, but I've never really understood deeply why people are so obsessed with how they look. And if they are, then why would you, pay to make something so different, right? And skin treatment, I think is again, it's so kind of natural in a sense. Like it's not a big change, but Korea's known for like double eyelid surgery, which feels more major. I think nose jobs are very common here as well. But there's all sorts of things now where they will remove fat from one area, put it in the other, right?
Crazy.
I mean, in the US too, there's liposuction, right?
Yeah.
But like, boob jobs, breast enhancement.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to say, I think I heard that for men, one of the more common things was calf enhancement.
Calf enhancement.
Like they make your calf muscles look bigger.
Oh wow.
And this to me is wild. Like, why would someone ever? I don't know, dude. Does anyone even look at a dude's calves when they're looking at that?
So I just saw in one of the articles on the internet that there's this guy. He's either Brazilian or he's US, but he's the first guy to have full body implants to replicate muscle.
Wow.
So he has like implants everywhere in his body.
Yeah, is that healthy? Yeah.
Well, apparently not.
That doesn't sound healthy.
But anyways, so about cosmetic surgery, plastic surgery, I think, and the overall like emphasis on physical appearance.
Yeah.
I think.
Where does that come from?
I don't know where it comes from, but one thing that I'm very sure of is that it's much more emphasized here in Korea than they do in the States.
Yeah, that for sure.
And by living here in Korea, you definitely get numb about like getting these procedures and having more emphasis on physical appearance and whatnot. I remember when I was living in the States for my grad school, I didn't care about anything about what I wear and how I looked by the public perception. Yeah. But then the minute I moved back to Korea, I felt that kind of pressure a little bit. Because everyone's like, they won't come up to your face and say you look ugly or whatnot. But I think there's some sort of social pressure, definitely. And you get numb, right? Yeah. And if you asked the Jun who was living in the States, like, would you ever consider having like a thing done? I would say definitely not.
Wait, even something as like simple as like what you just got? Like
I don't think I would have.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think things changed, right? And it became so much more affordable. That's another thing.
Yeah, the price went down. That makes sense.
Cosmetic surgery, by the way, in Korea is, I think, world famous. There's a thing called Meditour.
Yeah, for sure. Surgery tourism. Yeah.
And people from neighboring countries, not even neighboring, but most of them are from the neighboring countries like China, Thailand, Vietnam. They all come to Korea to do these surgeries. So I have one funny episode about this.
Okay.
So as a matter of fact, my brother is a plastic surgeon.
Yes.
And so I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago, we went to Bali together to travel. Yeah. And out of nowhere, my brother's like, oh, I know how to speak a little bit of Indonesian, right?
Wow.
I was like, what is it? And he says something. He's like, oh, that's cool. What does it mean? And he's like, open your eyes. Close your eyes. Yeah. Tell me if it hurts too much.
That's funny.
It's because so many of these people, Indonesian, Malaysian, Thai people, come to Korea to get these procedures done. Yeah. Anyways.
I think even in Korea, as far as I know, you're still expected to attach a picture of yourself when you apply for jobs, right? It's always in the upper left-hand corner of your resume.
I think that's a standard.
Yeah. In the US, I think that would be illegal.
That would be illegal.
You can't hire or make any decisions based on physical appearance, right? Yeah. But in Korea, it's so ingrained that, you include a photo on your resume still.
Yeah. So me working in the tech industry, I don't think they do it anymore, at least in the tech industry.
Okay.
Or they don't require one. Yeah. But I'm sure,
people still do it.
Yeah. Like there's a standard format for applying for a job. Yeah. So ridiculously enough, the standard format, it has height and then
Wow, even your physical specs.
Yes. I don't know why.
By the way, in Korea, I've noticed everyone's all about the quote unquote specs. Yeah. Like how tall are you? Yeah. How much do you weigh? Yeah. What's your physical numbers, let's say, and also where did you graduate from?
Yeah.
How much money do you make? Yeah. So these are specs, I think, in Korea, and people are just so upfront about it, and it's so expected. Like people don't even think twice about asking you,
Mm-hmm.
and also about, they don't think twice about judging people, let's say, based on them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the US, I'm sure it happens, but it's always more under the surface, right? It's never so upfront.
Yeah.
You try to like find out indirectly, let's say, oh, that's a nice car, right?
Yeah.
In Korea, they'd be like, oh, wow, you drive a Maserati. How much did it cost? Right? And so, of course, like, people in the US still care about someone's specs. But I think it feels like in Korea, you should just carry around the card and hand it out. Like, here are my specs. Like, this is me.
Yeah.
But in the US, I'd also say, like, I want to think I'm more than my specs, right? I'm not just someone who, these are my numbers, yes. But I'm a unique individual. Feels like in Korea, people don't care about that.
Yeah. I don't know why. I definitely do agree that Korean society is much more materialistic than the US. But I don't know where it came from. Probably coming from the very intense competition.
Yeah.
And the intense competition, I feel like it comes from the fact that everyone's the same, ironically, right? Because they all think the same, they all look pretty much the same, they all grew up in the same environment. So, like, for instance, right, me getting ahead of someone else it means so much more than someone getting ahead of me in the States per se, right? Because in the States, they're all the different race, they all grew up in very different environments. So I can sort of distance myself from others and say like, oh, they're totally something else. I'm me and they are they.
Yeah.
But in Korea, we're all sort of related because we're all the same. So if I'm behind someone, it just makes me feel like, oh, maybe I'm doing something wrong.
I see. Yeah.
Right?
I do agree. For me, that is the biggest difference. And, I do think that is maybe the root cause of Koreans' obsession with appearance and cosmetic surgery and things like that. It's really the need to differentiate themselves from each other, from their peers, right? I guess in Korea, it just feels like, one of the good things about living here is I do feel like I blend in. But yeah, in the US, it never felt like I was just one in the crowd, right? Like, of course, I am a foreigner there, right? I'm second generation Korean American. But there's so many, people have different interests and hobbies. They have different majors and different social groups. Like, there's so much going on that, it's so easy to differentiate yourself from others. And you don't have to compete. It's not like I'm better than you at X. It's just like, you like this, I like that. That's okay. Whereas in Korea, maybe there's just less things to compete on. And so we, the few things that we do have, everyone has to feel like it's a competition rather than like, whatever. I think what's most fascinating to me, though, is that there's so many things in your specs that, you can't control, right? Whether it's genetics or upbringing, right? Like, do you come from a wealthy family? Do you, are you this tall, right? Like, those things you can't really control. And yet Koreans are so quick to judge each other and to compete on them. And I think for me, that's where maybe I try to draw the line. Like, I always think of, there's certain things that you can compete on. Let's say how hard you work, right? And I realize all these things do come down to luck as well, but at least you have more control over things like that. Certain things like your family background, or your upbringing, how much money your family has, right? Like your height. Those are things I feel like you have no control over. So it's really kind of wrong to judge people based on them. I feel like Koreans have no qualms about judging people for things they can't control.
There's so much emphasis about your background these days, about like what kind of household you grew up in. And like this thing called like 금수저. So
what's that mean?
So 은수저, I think it directly comes from, having a silver spoon in your mouth. 은수저 means like silver cutlery. Cutlery. But
the phrase is exactly the same. The silver spoon.
It started from there, I'm pretty sure. But then they enhanced it by saying 금수저, which means like gold. And there's a thing called 다이아수저.
What's platinum?
Like diamond.
Diamond.
And then there's the thing called 흑수저, which is like
black
dirt.
Dirt.
Dirt cutlery.
Oh wow. So means like one poor.
There's so much drama around this about like, oh, this person's a 금수저. They don't even use the word 은수저 anymore.
Because that's not
where it stems from. It's like, oh, you're 금수저 and I'm 흑수저 and all that.
Do you feel very like, does it feel very natural to you to both ask others about it and also to I don't know, kind of, maybe judge is too strong a word, but to make judgments about someone based on their background. Because for me, again, it feels kind of elitist, or it's something I would try not to do, even if I'm doing it subconsciously. But again, in Korea, it feels so overt and natural. How do you feel like and nothing about you personally, more about representing Koreans?
I don't think Korean people would be very overtly bragging about their background.
Okay.
But they would also very subtly always do it.
Make sure you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people have a lot of pride about, again, things that they can't control, let's say. I see it.
It's also, I think it also acts like an excuse for yourself to not being ahead of that person, saying that, oh, he was born rich.
Oh, that makes sense.
Kind of in a sarcastic way.
Yeah. I see. Okay, I do want to talk about the cosmetic stuff a little bit more still. I think when you were born, right, like it wasn't as big for sure, right? So you've kind of seen the whole evolution of like Korea, where no one has, let's say, cosmetic operations or surgeries done. And then today, again, don't quote me on this, but people tell me like, oh, fully 1/3 of women have had double eyelid surgery, for example, something like that, right? So just from your perspective, how has this progressed over the last, 20, 30 years? Was there a moment that seemed to like, oh, all of a sudden everyone really cared about it?
That's a very interesting question, because I remember even when I was in, let's say, high school, right? If a celebrity was caught that they had plastic surgery done, it was always a huge scandal.
Right? Yeah.
And they would even go on like interviews in front of journalists and saying like, oh, and they like cry, burst out like, oh yeah, I actually did have plastic surgery. And then at that time, that was like, right, 20 years ago, still it was viewed as a bit shameful that you had something done and you're that vain.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in the 20 years, but it became so prevalent that no one really cares. And now like they're not even shameful about saying that it's done. It's because I think there's a tipping point in which most people have done it now.
I see.
Now you can't judge
others if
yeah.
That's too hypocritical.
I would even say, at least for the female population, at least half of the population have done something, and I'm being very conservative.
I think that's conservative too.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And so you can't think of anything that maybe caused this to become more acceptable socially, let's say. Was it some, I don't know, famous, like the president or something, having some operation done? Or
I think it's I don't think there was one very symbolic incident.
Okay.
I think it's just gradually that more and more people just had it done, and less people are there for you to give you shit.
Yeah.
And now we're all in it together, so it's okay.
Ourselves included. We have some sort of thing done to us.
Yeah.
So. But not even shameful. I think it's the pendulum has swung fully to the other side, where it's not only not shameful, but people almost wear it like a badge of pride now. I think one thing I know from like socials, whatever, is that there's something called like signaling. Like, because let's say you're wearing a bandage on your nose that you got a nose job, you're signaling to others, oh, I have enough money that I can afford to get a nose job, right? And so you almost wear it as a badge of pride. Do you think it's swung that far over, where people are, very overtly even proud and bragging that they've gotten things done? Or is it still not that far?
I don't think it's that far.
Okay.
I still think it's more, they would feel they would feel more proud if they're just naturally born that way. Yeah. And I think that's the number one rule of cosmetics or fashion or anything,
Make it look
right?
natural.
Make it look natural. Like, I just woke up like this. One thing that I can think of right now is that there are a lot of comedians who would come on TV shows and just make fun of themselves and say, oh, I had everything done.
Yeah.
And I think that just sort of lowered the barrier a little bit.
You cannot joke about it.
Yeah. And then it became okay.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I have done a complete 180 on this. If you had asked me, 15 years ago, let's say, like, what do you think about people who get surgeries or operations done? I would have said, hey, that's incredibly vain. It's so inauthentic. They must have, whether it's low self-esteem or whatever, why do that, right? And I'll never do that. But I think now for me, it's like, hey, if it's going to make someone more confident, make them feel better about themselves, why not do it? There's no harm in it, right? So who am I to judge, right? And so I would say I've done a complete 180 on this, and I myself am very open to like getting that in mode, and not For me, I will say it's not vanity. It's just more I'm curious. But again, who cares the reason, right? If people want to do certain things like that, make themselves look better, why not?
So something interesting to me is that I feel like the shift in your perception definitely was influenced by you living here in Korea, right?
It was influenced by this. Yeah, I think so. But I'd like to think I started to shift more like this before. But I'd say being here, it's definitely like, made it, I guess, turn around faster maybe. Yeah.
Because you see everyone doing it, right? And it becomes just okay.
Yeah, maybe it's just more acceptable here. I am interested if, I were to tomorrow be living in the US again, how my perception might shift or change. But I also suspect in the US it's become more accepted than it was before as well. Yeah, but I think the one thing for me that I think about is, all the celebrities in the US, they all have work done, right? And especially things like, breast enhancement and other things like I think are very popular and common amongst celebrities. And that to me is what's made it more acceptable in the US. It's again, if like celebrities are doing it, like why wouldn't I get it done, right? If it's acceptable for them. And that's where I think it also comes down to maybe price. Like it's just out of reach in the US because it's so expensive. Most people can't afford to do it. But in Korea, because it's, it's so ubiquitous, right? Yeah. The costs have been driven down so much that so many people can do it. So I suspect in the US, if it was more affordable and the access to it was like it was in Korea, just as many people would get stuff done.
Yeah. Definitely. To me personally, again, my thoughts would shift as time goes by. But at the moment where I draw the line is I still feel uncomfortable with procedures that would alter you in a very different way. At the moment, I'm okay with like going back, like rejuvenating yourself, right? Like let's say hair implant. I think that's okay, right? It's like going back to your normal self. Or normal is a weird.
your younger
self. Yeah. Or like lifting. That's so. But like,
lifting is a operation or procedure.
Procedure that would like tighten your skin.
Oh, got it. Okay. Because when I hear lifting, I'm like lifting weights. That's like very natural.
Maybe it's a Konglish
lifting.
We call it lifting.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Keep going.
Those are I think acceptable, but I think like I don't know. I still feel weird about even the most simple things are double eyelid surgery. I think that's kind of weird.
So you draw the line between altering versus, let's say, enhancing.
Yes.
Enhancing feels okay to you.
Yeah.
All big major alterations feels not as okay.
Yeah. But who knows?
Jun, I think I've become more Korean than you. I am okay with anyone doing anything. Whatever makes them happy, go for it, right?
Yeah.
It's their body in a sense.
No, but what if you think about doing it to yourself?
For me, like I'm not gonna do much. I think. Yeah. I say that now. Maybe it will change. I think it's an interesting question, right? For like, let's say a potential partner or spouse. Do you care if they've gotten anything done? Would that matter to you? Is that something you would even ask?
Let's just leave this question to our audience. Let's all think about this.
Yes. All right. And we're also keeping your brother in business.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right.
This is a good place to end.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. As always, you can follow us at Korean American Podcast on Instagram and hopefully in the future other social media as well.
Yeah.
I'm Daniel.
And I'm Jun.
And we'll see you next week. Bye.